I'm Robert Reich, and welcome to You Heard Me. This is the podcast for anyone who wants to know what is really happening in the mortgage and title industry. You'll learn what's being talked about in hallways at trade shows and behind closed doors in boardrooms. I'll bring you cutting-edge interviews on title legislation from industry experts, plus sales and marketing secrets from the innovators doing it every day. You'll hear it here first on You Heard Me, keeping you ahead of the competition. Continuing on my interviews at You Heard Me with technology companies that are coming out of the box with very unique, timely, and probably mission-critical technologies, all surrounding things like cyber fraud, wire fraud, the pending technologies of blockchain, which we've been keeping an eye on. I've got two very interesting guys on with me today, Tony Franco, Chris Sauerzoff, co-founders of SafeWire, and they caught my eye recently because they announced funding that they've got for their company to the tune of millions of dollars. I'll let them talk about that for their very first product that they're rolling out for the industry. So Chris, Tony, how are you?
Great, Robert. Thank you for having us.
You betcha. So Tony, why don't we start off by giving some backgrounds on you, and then Chris, if you'd chime in on your background. Chris, you're in the title industry. Tony, why don't you go ahead and start?
Yeah, absolutely. Tony Franco, CEO and co-founder. Thank you so much for having us. My background is in I'm a serial entrepreneur at heart. So this is my first venture capital-backed company, but not my first technology company. I would call as a skill set myself a product market fit entrepreneur. I have a background in creating technology products that people love to use, and have taken that experience and partnered with Chris to join to create great software in the title industry.
What can you tell us? What were one of your past entrepreneurial endeavors?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a time that we were working on a music data company that collected data from various other sources, helped concert promotion and event companies decide and gauge demand for specific artists. And then there was a company before that was creating an algorithm to tell the difference between fake and real online activity. So most of the products that we have all been software products, some of them with the data spin before. And in title, when we looked at title, where we started 14 months ago is kind of very different from where we are today. And really, when I met Chris, we kind of level set and said, there are dozens of wonderful opportunities to make this process more efficient and to deliver great products. And over the first kind of part, we focused on, what were those opportunities across the entire market, and ended up landing, after an extensive data process, interviewing process with title companies in Ohio, landed on SafeWire.
Fantastic. Lots of data in your world. Chris, how about you? What's your background?
Yeah. Tony is absolutely the data guy. I am not the data guy at all. My background is the last 10 years I've been in the title space. I'm a licensed title agent. And really the last 4 or 5 years with our title business in Columbus, World Class Title, we've really been focusing on technology and things like social media marketing to bring a new value and a better value to our clients. And it's allowed us to really grow our business, but more importantly, it's allowed me to put my finger on some of the needs of this space as our company was growing. We I don't know if other title agents can relate or not, but the two main issues we always are facing is how do we either increase revenues or increase efficiencies, basically profitability, right? How do we become more profitable? And so that's why I've spent so much time in the technology space. And about 14, 15 months ago, Tony and I were able to connect through a mutual relationship. Tony was talking about blockchain. I was talking about title insurance efficiencies and improvements and what we were trying to do, and the ideas just came together, and that's how SafeChain was born.
Awesome. So, yeah, in fact, Chris, you're a man after my own heart. I saw your post on LinkedIn where you were standing up in front of a whole room full of realtors doing some fantastic value add training. Nothing better for business development and client retention than doing something like that in the title industry.
Well, you have to. I mean, you have to. You can't self-service anymore. You have to bring a value, and you have to, you have to be constantly looking not only for building better relationships, but how do we have a competitive advantage with increasing efficiency within our offices by using technology. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm on a one-man crusade to eliminate donut deliveries and the term customer service out of the minds and mouths of sales reps.
Preach, brother, preach.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's talk about SafeChain as a company first. And you guys can just run with this thing and from the beginning to where we are today, the who, what's, whys, and whens.
Sure. Yeah, happy to dive in. SafeChain is a technology company, and we're building software for title agents. And so when we think about the problem, there's oftentimes 30 people, 30 different processes, different places where information comes from, and sometimes it takes 30 days to close on a title. And at the core of us, we believe that should happen quickly, safely, efficiently, and for as low a cost to the consumer as possible. So when we came together related to SafeChain, we said, how can we make the industry better? How can we partner with the existing supply chain members to learn about, understand pain points, and develop great software that people absolutely love to use? So SafeChain is serving the title industry, and we, again, have started with SafeWire, but plan to launch a suite of products that make life easier for underwriters, software companies, and title agents, and consumers alike.
So you indicated to me SafeChain is going to be integrated into the whole blockchain process if it comes to be. So would you where do you guys stand on blockchain?
Sure. So blockchain is a technology, and it's a novel technology. When I say that, I mean that, for the last, since software was invented, people have been using the same, call it 8 different tools. There's relational databases and various software tools to build products, and blockchain is one of the first ones that is unique and novel. So we think that it's an absolutely fascinating technology. It's going to change multiple sectors, not just title. But then we also have a pragmatic view about blockchain in the sense that there are significant limitations related to what the technology can and cannot do. And understanding those differences is critical to understanding how it could potentially help the title industry at large.
What are the limitations, do you think, Tony?
Sure. So from a technology perspective, there are many. When you look at like relational databases, running searches against the blockchain are incredibly difficult. There's a size and scope issue. There's several problems related to how blockchains are governed by a supply chain that still need to be ironed out, especially related to title. So, from a technology perspective, blockchain does one thing incredibly well, and that is keep an immutable, untamperable record of property ownership. And so if you focus blockchain to that narrow focus, you can kind of understand how throughout title it could potentially be incredibly helpful. When you look at kind of instance rates of fraud, when you look at loss ratio caused by human errors, there's a series of pain points inside title that if you keep blockchain in the lane that it's supposed to be in, could be a great technology. And on the other hand of that, if you use blockchain for things that you're not supposed to use it for, and things that you could use other software tools to do, those software tools would outcompete blockchain. And the most specific example is running searches for information off of a blockchain database. And that's a major technical hurdle that the title industry and other industries beyond title have to solve.
Chris, as a title owner, agency owner, where do you stand with it?
Well, so here's what's really interesting to me. So if I'm, what's really interesting to me is that the technology is coming. The technology exists. Building the right business case as a title company owner is really what we're doing now. So we're looking at where can we start taking bites out of the apple, and where does this start to make sense? So we very much have the mantra adopt, adapt, or die. And so what we're doing is we're creating an industry out solution for title office owners. So we're not coming at this with the blockchain technology and this new mindset. We're not coming at this to disrupt the title space. We're coming at this to partner with the title space because we think that this is an industry out solution versus an outside in solution. So I'm all for adopting and adapting and being part of this as it evolves. You know, we don't have an out of the box all size fit solution today, but we are building it, and we're beginning with SafeWire as the first step of the SafeChain ecosystem, the SafeChain blockchain ecosystem. SafeWire solves an immediate problem for title offices today, which is wire fraud, authenticating buyers, sellers, and bank accounts. So for me as a title company owner, what I to answer your question in a really long-winded manner is I'm really interested in being at the forefront and being able to adopt and partner with a platform that allows me to be in the conversation as this stuff evolves and unfolds. And the first step into that is SafeWire.
Chris, do you think, and I'm going to ask you about SafeWire, just jump into that here in just a second, but just give me your opinion on something. This question just occurred to me. Do you think, as you understand blockchain today and its, I'll call it potential future in the industry, if title agents around the country don't learn about blockchain, be able to get on the blockchain, use blockchain technology, are they going to become obsolete at some point?
So, Robert, I'm going to hop in. That's a little bit more aggressive than we would be. Many people use technology every day that don't understand exactly how it works. And I would, say that most people have a banking app and don't understand that might be a various array of computer languages interacting with series of systems.
Sure.
That people don't understand or how their automatic transmission works in their car. So there's a level of technology where we believe that title companies need to care about customer security. They need to care about transacting with confidence, and they need to care about customer service. And that is what's going to drive the adoption of the technology. Understanding the mathematical premises behind blockchain won't be nearly as useful as being a forward-thinking, willing to test, and willing to beta technology inside title, in my opinion. Chris, if you have anything to add, please hop in.
What's happening right now with what I find really fascinating is what's happening right now with real estate agents. So when you look at what's happening with real estate agents, you look at what's happening with companies like Open Door, and you look at what what the technology is allowing new disruptive companies to be able to start to do with real estate agents, and you look at the mega teams are getting bigger and they're doing more and more deals and more transactions. And so what you're doing is you're creating a squeeze, right? There's 1.3 million real estate agents in the country, and you're creating a squeeze on the agents who aren't keeping up. So one could look at that similar parallel with what it is we're talking about here as we, as an industry, 61% of consumers are satisfied with the closing process. Like, that's a terrible statistic. That's why there's $3.5 billion being invested in real estate from VCs in the real estate space to disrupt this, because the consumer experience is not good, right? On the whole, not just title, not just real estate agents, not just lenders. On the whole, the experience is not what it needs to be for the consumer. And so if this technology allows us to create a better consumer experience, and that means that there's some casualties by your one or two, small title offices who are doing everything with Excel spreadsheets, like, that's not good, and that should probably go away, right? So So I think that there is going to be some of that, but there's also a massive opportunity for those who do adopt, and that's really what we want to be talking to is the massive opportunity that exists for those who do take advantage of what it is we're trying to build towards.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees. Maybe I should say, don't you agree that pretty much everybody agrees that it just takes too long, right, to transact. The average transaction might be, I think, in around the high 30s or about 40 days.
Yeah.
And, why couldn't it be with the right technology half that time or less?
And that's it. And that's our vision. We think that that's where this thing goes. And if you look at what everyone is trying to do in the space, is everyone's trying to attack this problem from the front. We think that the solution exists in title.
Okay, so you guys just closed on a heck of a lot of money from
a little bit of money.
From who is it Pete? Who's one of your investors that you announced?
Sure. So there's a couple of investors. Certainly Pete Kite is one of them. He was the founder. Yeah, he was the founder of CheckFree. But also, we had a great syndicate and a diverse syndicate from 5 different states. So we also had Steve Case, who's the founder of AOL, invest in the company. Several great venture capital firms in the Ohio region, which is where we're located, as well as California. So yeah, really a diverse syndicate, and I think that it's indicative of the kind of market demand. We were really happy to meet with over 100 venture capital companies and kind of select ones that were going to be strategic and helpful to us over the next several years as we build out our product offering.
I got to ask you, how in the heck do you meet with 100 VCs?
Tony is a machine. Tony doesn't sleep. Tony doesn't have kids. Tony is a machine.
Yeah.
That's the thing is this is a hot sector, and I wish that I could say that it was 100% SafeChain, but the fact is there's a lot of interest. And when blockchain academic papers started to come out, even almost 10 years ago now, the title industry and the land registry industry from an academic perspective was one of the first and most highly documented use cases for blockchain. Sure. So I think that being in the space and the time led to opening a lot of doors that may not have been the case otherwise. So, a lot of good fortune and luck associated with that.
And Robert, I want to add to that. So one thing that happened early on was we were connected with our CTO and co-founder Rob Zwink. So Rob really had turned us on to the technical feasibility of doing what it is we were envisioning with, he was building enterprise blockchain solutions for one of the largest global financial companies in the world, managing a team of 100 developers, and had a few different blockchain patents pending. So bringing him into this equation early on was also incredibly beneficial, not only for the raising of the funds, but just as building the company as a whole.
Did they fund you in Bitcoin? No, I'm just kidding.
No, they didn't. Frankly, we probably wouldn't take it, knowing that it could go up and down so quickly. So,
12 months ago, we would have taken it.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let's then dive into what the heck is SafeWire.
Sure. So SafeWire is a multi-factor authentication for title companies. And when I say multi-factor, what we really mean is that we're kind of taking banking-grade solutions and bringing them to title. And we've really found that there is a minimum amount of information that you need to collect and verify to ensure that a user is who they say they are, that they have access to the bank account that they say that they do, and that they have the right to transact in a specific given transaction. And so using the technology that banks use every day to execute millions of wires, we think that we can eliminate wire fraud in the industry, and that's absolutely the purpose of SafeWire. And we're very, very happy to be in market today discussing that with agents.
So SafeWire is available for someone to use for a fee, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So you guys were gonna, I think you're gonna show some screenshots here. Chris, I've given you, if you would like to share your screen and do that, I've given you control.
Okay, hang on. Can you see my?
I sure can. Go for it.
Hang on,
Perfect. I'm seeing the SafeWire website.
all right, so let's go ahead and I'll let you drive.
All right, so can you see the full screen now?
I sure can.
Great, great.
Yeah, so SafeChain.io. This is our where you would go, and we connect in. So we this is what our portal looks like. So as a title agent, I would be set up with a new account, and we're able to create new orders from this portal. We're able to create wire instructions for the title office. We have an administrative back end and obviously help and feedback. So these are still screens. So this is an actual demo. We would, if a title company was interested in the product, we would obviously facilitate an actual demo for the internal team that isn't anything too heavy of a lift. It's a 10-15 minute process to get everything up and going. But for the title office, there's two main things that we're doing. We're sending the buyers secured wire instructions, and we're authenticating that buyer is who they say they are. So we're collecting where do they exist, where are they sending their information from. We're making them upload the front of their IDs, we're making them upload the back of their IDs, and we're also reading that information electronically to make sure all of that matches up. We're collecting that and creating a profile for the title office. So
you're saying they upload, I'm sorry to interrupt you, they scan and upload the front of their ID, driver's license number, whatever they use, and the back of it. Why the back?
Sure. So there's a barcode on the back that reads the information on the front. And so what we can do is take that barcode and scan it against any type of state databases, any type of known fraud activity, any type of anti-terrorist database, as an example. So there's an array of information that exists on the back, and then we can also connect that information to the various other pieces of the process to make sure that congruent information has been given throughout the entire process. And when you think about, at the highest level, multi-factor authentication, where we literally mean multi-factor, and that there are more than one checks throughout the process, it would be harder for somebody trying to commit fraud to steal your email address, your driver's license, and your phone, as an example. And so having more, what we're trying to do is create the most amount of factors to make the product safe and so that people can transact with confidence, and then the least amount of factors to burden the customer through the process. And to make, so we want this to be incredibly quick, easy to use, and not a time hurdle for the office to get set up and get moving.
Perfect. Got it. Okay. Thank you for that.
Sure. So the title company, we get them up, we get them onboarded, and so this is what our order log would look like. So we're looking at.
I'm going to log into your system, and this is.
Yes. So this is the title company user.
This is a user interface that you guys created. Okay, good.
Yep. And so right now, what you're looking at is the mouse is over the buyer's name, Kyle, and we're going to look at his verification details. Right now, everything is grayed out, so there really aren't any verification details because we haven't done anything yet. So this would be the first part of the process. And you can see that what we did was once we input his information, Kyle got a notification from SafeWire that and we sent him a request. So that was sent, and then we're waiting to see if he's done the rest of these activities prior to closing. So Kyle would get an invitation that would look like this, and he would get a text message as well that he would need access to his phone and his email in order to access. He would upload his ID front and back, and then we would send him wire instructions. So again, the entire workflow isn't here. We would demo this with the title office, but getting the information back, you can see that the title office is starting to collect information, starting to collect data. When we have conflicts, when something happens, and let's say Kyle didn't put in the right address that we have on our order, then we're letting the title office know, hey, proceed with caution, there's something going on here. You can also see that we're check marking that the back of the ID was scanned and things match up. So once we also tracking IP information and making sure that if they're supposed to be in Ohio, we tell that title office that they're in Ohio. We also score that user. So you can, the title office is getting additional data from SafeWire that scores. Kyle may get an 85% that he's likely to be who he says he is, and everything is on the up and up. If Kyle got a 20%, then that title office knows, or whoever that funder is, getting more data to make better decisions of where and how they're sending money.
Just roughly speaking, you don't have to go too deep into it. What are the components of the score?
Sure. So there's, again, first, whether or not the person gets onto the system. The second thing is they have to know the property address. There's a photo ID front and back. There's the information taken from that ID. There's a voided check. From that check, we read the logo and the byline to match it up to the proper routing number. And then we ensure that all of the same information was inputted through every step. So in this case, in the case that Chris scrolled through a moment ago, the ID did not match the name that was initially on the account, which triggered a red flag. So it was several factors throughout the entire process, basically ensuring that the user has access to the bank account all of the information is consistent across the process. So
did Kyle download an app to do this, or is it just just a thin application browser?
Yeah, he did not. We did not want people to have to download an app related to it. When we surveyed the 60 title offices that we talked to in Ohio, we got resounding results that the market did not want to download an app and that they wanted something that was accessible as easily as possible. So we did maybe a year ago discussed whether or not this was going to be out of the browser or mobile app, and through a couple of customer surveys and in-depth interviews, decided to make it available through the browser. The other thing that we should point out here is that we built these front-end screens, and that's the ability to show people, but we fully expect 99% of the product use of SafeWire to be accessed programmatically or through an API. And that's an important distinction because we understand that SafeWire is a part of a larger title process, and that many offices and agents prefer to use the things that they prefer to use. So we're diligently working with the market leaders in workflow so that everything that you see in these screens can be accessed from inside other software because we believe that it'll be even faster and even better than it is today.
Currently integrated with anything, or it's standalone at this point?
So it's standalone today, but we are waiting on schedule, have a signed contract with the market leader in title. So we're very, very excited to be able to start on the first integration for SafeWire, which is going to be SoftPro.
Oh, very good. Okay, super. Okay, please continue. Thanks.
So Kyle's experience as the buyer getting secure wire instructions was that. So now we're looking at this from the seller's perspective. So when we go back into the portal and we click on the verification details, again, we can see that the seller has some things they need to do as well. So we make sure that the buyers and sellers get the invitations. Jump ahead a little bit. So I'm inviting my seller, putting in my property information. And then my seller gets their invitation in the email. This is the seller experience versus the other buyer experience that we talked through. Accept. They also need a code, so they need a cell phone number as well as an email. Now, we're doing this early on in the process, so they're verifying their property address. We're doing this early on in the process. We're not doing this right at close. We're doing this in the beginning to try to head off anyone that could be monitoring the buyer seller's accounts. We're trying to head them off early on versus waiting to the end of the transaction. And if there aren't any modifications of the title user at the end of the transaction either, without having to go back through SafeWire and authenticate. So again, front and back, as a seller, we're also reading the voided check, and then you'll see next we can authenticate their bank accounts as well. So I can put in my Chase account information. We as a SafeChain we do not keep any of this information. This is a direct portal right into the bank account. And from there, the seller can tell us directly which account that money needs to go into. So you can see Chase is authenticating him, and then he'll select the account. And now as the title office, we'll get all of that information back.
How many banks can you do this with currently?
Over 2,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have over 80% of the market through partnerships with various other online banks, and the connection is direct to those banks. And so, for example, if there was something that we weren't necessarily sure of related to a user logging on to their bank, they would see Chase's direct knowledge-based authentication questions. And that's an incredibly important piece so that we don't think that people should have to create another account, pick new questions. And so going directly to their specific bank makes it a great degree safer and a great degree easier and more comfortable, because we tell people outright we don't store any of this information, nor is it possible for us to store any of this information. And we think that's an important distinction to give confidence to our users.
Agreed.
And you can see then on the back end, me as a title office employee, I'm getting this score back, and it says that Wes is 55% verified as my seller. And the only reason it's 55% is because that Chase account that we logged into is a demo account. So those aren't authenticated because that wasn't a real account. Okay. So if that was a real account, that number would be significantly higher. But again, we're not stopping the title employee from doing anything. We're just giving that title office owner more confidence that their funders or the people in their closing department have more data in where and who they're sending money to.
Got it. Okay. So then they complete the process. You give them a score as to how likely that this is the person that they say they are. And is there what are you guys saying? If I get an 80% score on somebody, is that good? 70 or 90%? Where are you on that range of numbers?
Sure. Yeah, so let's be clear. What we're going to move to is a pass-fail in a sense. So the score through the next version is actually going to go away and will be like a yes or no binary example. But I will say that, for the record, some title companies are okay wiring hundreds of thousands of dollars with a fax and a phone call. And so when we think about it, we're not saying that what level of risk is appropriate for your specific title, for your specific title company. We are providing the information that allows you to make an accurate decision. And in some cases, you've got a title company that physically knows everybody in the small town or transaction that they're dealing with, right? So this information in that specific context might not be incredibly important, but there are other times where people don't know each other and you would prefer to have more information. So a title company might read a middle-of-the-line score like this and say, you know what, it's important that you come in and that we come in person so that we can ensure that your money ends up where it needs to be. And that's like I said, culturally, that's one of the things that we're finding very, very different kind of from banks to title companies is that when you go up to a bank and they say, I want to make a transaction, they say, I need your photo ID. If you don't have the photo ID, a bank is going to send you home. and you're going to go get your photo ID or you won't be making the transaction. With title cases, sometimes you have a realtor pushing the title company to hurry up and close. Sometimes they know everybody and it doesn't matter. So when we built the software, we knew that we needed to account for a wide array of processes and a wide array of appetite for risk, because that's the current reality in title right now, is that some shops are Alta best practices, and some shops, are depending on luck. Yeah, less so. The luck being the strategy.
Yeah. What's next for this? What's coming, this year that you're not doing now, other than the pass-fail and the integrations? Do you have other contemplated enhancements?
Yeah, absolutely. What we'll do next is we will hook up a production level blockchain API that allows a user to go in and go as far to say that no one has tampered with any of the data because it would not match. So there's that aspect. There's offering a business guarantee, where if you use SafeWire properly, we're so confident that it's going to work that we have no problem owning that economic risk and have insured against that specific risk. So we think that many title companies, SafeWire is close to what people want, but what they want is to pass off the risk and transact without a headache. And we're certainly happy to do that, provided that the software is used properly. In addition to that,
maximum on that?
$1 million, yes. It's going to be the largest guarantee in the market.
Wow, that is a lot. Yeah, awesome.
Not only that, and again, these are things, as we discussed, you said, what are things that you have not built that you are building? But what we'll also do is we'll hook a blockchain up to our funding account so that publicly you can go on and see that there is money to pay claims. Right. One of the use cases that we got is that sometimes there's a discrepancy between the E&O policy and the cyber fraud policy, where some people are saying, it's a cyber fraud case or it's an E&O case, and we only insure against data breaches, not against social engineering. And what we're saying is that if you use our product properly, we will own that risk, and that we want to own that risk because we believe that this is a problem that's solvable by technology. So we believe that there will be a far degree higher level of transparency related to insurance underwriting and underwriting these types of risks. And I think that trend exists not just in title insurance, but in the insurtech sector at large.
I certainly agree that having that economic safety valve standing behind a technology is probably critical.
It was one of the most requested features that we had. In some level, we are technologists at heart. I'm a technologist at heart, and recognize that is, to me, how I would think about it. But I totally recognize and empathize with the title office in saying, if you're very sure, you should own the risk, and we think that that's absolutely reasonable from their perspective. So
let's hit the home stretch here. What is the future of SafeChain? Beyond SafeWire, and I heard you say blockchain a minute ago. What's the next 12 to 24 months look like?
Sure. So we need to hire a lot more engineers. Right now we have 9 engineers, and over the next 12 months we expect that to go to around 25.
I'm in the technology business. Good luck with that.
Yeah. It is. It's very difficult. Fortunately, again, it's an interesting space. It's an interesting sector, and we get dozens of applications weekly from world-class talent. Columbus is a wonderful place to find software talent. You're right, though. It is. It's incredibly difficult to, and we have teams in various other countries so that we code around the clock. So what we're really hoping on doing is solving some of the most challenging technology problems in the space today, and are looking to partner with the industry as is. So very much, as Chris mentioned, believe that this is an inside out as opposed to an outside in. When we look at the other blockchain companies in the space, the manner in which you're solving the problem, we believe, has to start with title. When you look at some people saying, look at the Bitcoin impacting real estate, there's a lot of fluctuation right now related to Bitcoin. And so when people say Bitcoin is going to disrupt real estate, we would call ourselves more bearish than that. You can buy houses in Bitcoin now. What we believe is that blockchain is a great use case for land records. and again, need to distinguish between blockchain and Bitcoin. So we think that blockchain is going to dramatically increase efficiency, dramatically increase customer service, and dramatically increase safety, and are excited to build software products that meet those customer needs.
Awesome. Well, I bet you 2 Bitcoin you're going to be successful.
Well, I don't know. We could talk about a U.S. dollars bet if you'd like. I don't know that we're going to be betting Bitcoin.
Yeah, I don't think Vegas is taking Bitcoin either, so that's to be seen. How do people get in touch with you guys if they want maybe Chris to pick your brain on sales and marketing, or talk to either one of you about SafeChain and get a demo maybe? How would they do that?
Yeah, so SafeChain.io is our website, and anyone can contact us through there. Tony and I we're all at SafeChain.io, so it's Tony at SafeChain.io or Chris at SafeChain.io, and this is what we're doing. We're happy to talk to title professionals. That's what gets us excited. So,
Robert, so that you're clear, most of what we're doing in the industry today outside of SafeWire is education. So we are working with various incumbents to put on some educational material. My ask is if there's any people who are interested in talking about how blockchain may impact the industry, please reach out. We're happy to have a conversation, related to bringing the more innovative technology forward title companies up to speed.
Would you educate realtors as well, Tony?
We do, and we've started that process. There are, in each section we have to be kind of very, very focused, but we do very much enjoy realtor conversations and have some of them planned. We don't actively pursue them, so when somebody reaches out and wants us to educate a group of realtors, it's certainly something that we're willing to do on a case-by-case basis. But we, as a company, need to be laser focused on serving the title industry, and that's what we're actively pursuing right now.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Hey guys, thank you, Tony, Chris. Awesome job. Really interesting technology. I'm going to be watching this closely to see where it goes, and I think there's going to be an opportunity to have you come back and tell us what's happened since this interview. So thank you.
Thanks,
I would love to.
Yeah, we really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
You bet.
Folks, there's a lot to talk about in our industry, and not all of it makes it into the trade media. My podcast, You Heard Me, will get you a jump on breaking news and sales and marketing secrets through interviews with industry leaders. If it's important to the title and real estate industry, you'll hear it here first.